Call to order, Buhl City Council meeting Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. Mr. Jeffries, will you please take the roll?
Councilor Hadrava.
Here.
Councilor Keeley.
Here.
Councilor Loeffler.
Here.
Councilor Towner.
Here.
Mayor Carter.
Here.
Everybody's here. We have a quorum. We may conduct business.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thanks. Just came back from work.
Busy. All right. Everybody stand for the pledge, please. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Mr. Jeffries, any changes to the agenda as presented?
No, there are not.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Agenda is approved. Reports from department heads.
I don't have much of a report today. Just one thing I wanted to touch on was for the power out at the new Damien Edition development out there. I didn't bring the numbers, so I'm not going to give any numbers today. But when we did it, we came way underneath what was bid for us, and that's because a separate branch in Minnesota Power stepped in and wanted the other portion, and that portion hasn't been done yet, so that's why that number is a lot lower. And so I will have those numbers hopefully by the next meeting as to what that cost is going to be, but it's going to use our transformer, so it's not going to be a whole lot. It's still going to fall under that number that was approved at the time, but I'll still bring it for approval.
Excellent. That's good news. You have something to add?
Trent, does that mean that there will be an extra piece of charge to what we already have
Yep.
from that other portion of?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's still the exact same work that was outlined. It's just
Yeah.
a certain portion of it fell under customer power, and so then that had to go to a separate branch. And because of the timing, because it was back in November-ish, it just didn't work out with the weather, even though the weather is nice, but the ground still froze. And that's gonna be underground, that portion.
On or under budget?
Yeah, it should be under.
Excellent. That's
Because on that deal last year, that was not including our transformer. Well, we have a transformer from a long time ago that we'll still be able to use because it's essentially brand, it's new, it's old, but brand new.
good. Awesome.
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Mr. Jeffries, anything from staff?
I have nothing tonight, Mayor Carter.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Move on to citizens forum.
Mayor Carter, we have two individuals signed up tonight. The first one is Cheryl Keevy.
Hello, Cheryl.
Hello. Yes, I just, from the previous council meeting, that last paper that was given to you at the end of the meeting, I'm just wondering if anybody has come up with any answers on that. Because it was said to me that I had wanted it put on the agenda, but when I talked to Councilor Keeley, she had said to me that she was going to bring it up at the meeting and that she would have it put on the agenda. And then it was thrown that I wanted it put on the agenda, which I never had said anything. I just was looking for answers. So does anybody know anything yet of that the project and money and how much they received and where it's at?
Ms. Keevy, thank you. I received email correspondence that specifically said that you had wanted that item placed on the agenda. That's why it was done in the fashion that it was. And at that time, again, the agenda had already been done, so we put it up under other business. But I just want you to know that that's exactly how I had received that information.
All right.
Now, going back to your questions. If we go back a couple of meetings or so ago, when the council collectively determined, after your help and some others, that the Clinks Way paving may have either not been finally approved at one point in the past, or if it fell off the radar for a piece, it was all agreed that, yes, that project was always intended to be done, and should and will be done, and the information you had sent in the memo that you had suggested that bids were taken for these different elements of some project work. And then whatever was ultimately agreed to later, nobody had been involved with any of that. However, the engineer had said that the Clinks Way would come as a change order because that scope of paving Clinks Way does not exist currently in any contract that we have. So it would be added as a change order and absorbed into the project funding for the, I'll call it the mini project, the Damien project, which includes the new development, street and curb and gutter and utility and infrastructure, but also includes Jefferson getting rid of the hump, it includes Seville getting rid of the hump, it includes the Woodbridge paving. This would be added into that for the Clinks Way as a change order.
All right, but
Yeah, that's the question though, that why was it a change order when it was already in there?
right, it was
That
already
was the question that we were
included.
trying to find out, is where it got lost along the way.
And that answer, there is no, there's been no research since the last meeting on, did it not get voted on in a particular funding meeting or project cost meeting in the
And
past?
that's where we left off with that, is what will have to happen is all of the minutes will have to be reviewed back with that.
And
That
then
providing the
some,
date to know where to start searching for
Okay,
it.
so that hasn't been done yet.
No, it has not.
Okay, so then as far as the money amounts, then you haven't checked into that then either. As far as, was there enough funding there initially for that whole project?
And was it included in the actual,
Well, Clinks Way was, I know that at the time, because it's in that memo.
well, that's from a packet for council, and that refers
Correct.
to taking in bids on it.
Correct, I understand
Well,
that.
there's a video on it, I watched it.
Okay.
Right, but when the bids
And-
came in though, that paper, what he's saying is that was from a council packet. And so then once the bids went out there, that's what we have to look at, was when the bids came back, were those on those bids? That's what we still have
Well,
to find that out.
For the
Yeah.
amount, you
Not
mean,
the-
of the full project?
Correct.
I think the way I'd like to say that is, it is not an line item, an element of the project scope of any of our current
Current.
contracts.
With the engineer and
Yeah,
everybody. So
right.
currently, it's not on there.
So
Right.
then where did it get lost? We might not find that out.
We may
or
not.
We might not have.
But the council did determine that absolutely you want that work done.
Yeah, but is it gonna cost more money?
Well, that's why I said it's going to. Well, even for stopping the project from last year, it's gonna cost more doing it this year if it gets done. I'm sure prices have gone up. And that's why that was my other question, can we find out how much more it's gonna cost to do this project, get it done this year?
When you say project, do you
Well, this whole Clinks
It's
Way
gonna-
and Woodbridge.
Mini project.
It's a change
Jefferson.
order on one of the current projects that's already open. So he'll just do a change order.
She's talking about her.
Right, but that's,
But her road
Mr.
isn't
Javnik, well, it's part of the project, correct? The final overlay,
Of Clinks Way, no,
but he was gonna add it as a work order.
that's a change order,
And
Change
it
order.
costs more money.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
If it's currently not on there,
then it's
it's
gonna.
added as a change order, council
gonna cost-
approves it, it will be
It will.
the cost of
And
it.
is it gonna cost them more money? I don't know.
Their assessment
No.
is already
We paid the
done.
assessment in 22.
Yeah,
So-
you can't add, I don't believe, to the
So it'll
assessment.
go on the city's bill and we'll all pay for it.
So will we be able through Mr. Jamnik to find out what this will totally cost then?
Well, Mr. Jamnik is working on that as we speak.
Right.
Okay, so he is doing all that,
Yeah,
okay.
yes, we
Right.
met as recently as just before Easter, specifically on that matter.
Okay. All right. All right, that's
Yeah.
all I wanted to, my questions, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as we get information on it, we will talk about it as soon as
It
we
will
have.
be brought up at
Oh,
meetings?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, it
It's
has
not,
to be, they can't make a move with them.
All right,
yeah, it's not something that's just gonna fall off of the radar.
The second individual is Melody Staffaroni this evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I have a question because I am confused. There was several newspaper articles that came out. I don't know if this one was first, but it says Stabner secured 19 million for local projects. And in that 19 million, 3,048,000 was for Buhl. Now, I already thought that federal, I thought that was done last year, but maybe it took a long time, which is fine. And he didn't vote for the infrastructure bill, so I don't know how he can take that, but I'll call him. So,
There you go, call them up.
well, I'm going to,
Do it.
because he voted no for it. So don't take credit for something if you vote no. So the second thing is there was a different article, and it says here that it included 3,048,000, okay? And it says on the front page, or, yeah, this is, okay, yeah, front page. It says specifically, and this was from Amy and Tina, and it specifically says that they released a joint press conference that said, we are getting a new water tower. Specifically, according to the press release, Amy and Tina indicated that we are getting a new water tower plus all kinds of new utilities for water services, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the back page, it is a series of money that has been applied for. Some of it, I'm not sure has been received, et cetera, et cetera. And my question is, exactly, I got confused, exactly how much money are we going to receive other than the 3.5 million? I'd like, because I looked at all of the meeting minutes, all of them. I mean, all of them. And I don't see where, other than 3.48 million, we're getting any more money, but according to this, we're getting a lot more money. And I don't know what you applied for, so I'm asking all 5 of you, when did you apply for this?
First, I'd just like to touch on the fact that all of that stuff the press puts out is. How many times have we been contacted over that, Mr. Jeffries?
It's been many.
It doesn't matter, it's a simple question. How much money did you guys ask for?
Do you want to go over
No,
all the
I don't
numbers,
wanna hear
Mr.
from him.
Jeffries?
You guys did it, so you ought to
Last
know. Whenever you did it.
March of last year?
That was the 3.48.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
That
That's
was for
easy peasy.
federal funding, which
This is state money.
Which is
according to
still-
this.
where that stands is still in bill form. It's not approved. The city hasn't received it, and when we get notified, everybody will be notified. The press ran with that. The politicians ran with that because it's an election year. That's that. Other than that, we have applied for state level funding.
How much?
900 for the fire hall.
Yeah.
1 point for the residential. What's the point? 2? 1 point.
This says 1.375.
Okay,
Which is
that sounds right. I
And I don't.
forgive me. I have a terrible memory.
Well-
And then for funding for our business park,
How much?
and that was 1 point. Was that the 1.2?
1.175,
1.175,
I believe.
Sorry,
Okay.
I have a terrible memory.
Okay.
So that at the state level, that's what was put in there. At the federal level last year, early last year, we put in for that
So that's the
3.
same 3.48 that we've been dinking
And-
around with for 2 years.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't speak for what the press writes or what the politicians say. They run with things. like Stauber put
Well,
out that,
according to this, they interviewed Mr. Jeffries and he just went through it, but they can get it wrong.
oh yeah,
And
They can.
I wanna know from you exactly how much money.
that's
And
where,
then the front page said that we are getting a new water tower. And the back page says that we're not, basically. So are we or are we not?
well, that's to be determined.
You don't know yet, okay.
But, on that, federal funding, just a note on that, when that was applied for, we hadn't secured the funding that we did secure for our water storage project.
You
So,
mean the state level?
yeah, the state level funding, we hadn't secured that yet, we
Yeah,
were in the
but
process.
that's-
So, seeking out those funds for that project along with the others that the city had in mind, that was another avenue to seek out these funds, along with everything else.
So you've got 3.48 coming for sure, according to this, from
Yep.
several different.
If you listen to politicians or the newspaper.
Well, yeah, I know.
However,
3.4448, that's
Yeah.
correct.
however, Mr. Jeffries, have you heard where that's at?
No further, if I may, for Ms. Staffaroni.
I just didn't know if you had
Tony,
updates since.
I respect you, but I wanna hear from the 5 people that,
That's
I-
totally
you
fine.
know, and
That's
it's.
fine.
But he may have an update
Okay,
since,
if he does, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
The 3.048 congressionally directed spending is parallel with the House of Representatives and Stauber
Tony, I know.
and the senators. It's the
I
same
understand.
deal.
I understand.
Right, the Senate has not passed it yet, and it has not hit the president's desk as far as I know.
it is past the House.
It has passed
Yes, it
the
has.
Okay,
House.
so it's in the Senate's hands.
Yes,
If that passes, then it's in our president's hand.
yes, and he'll sign it. Okay.
Well,
And
hopefully,
I'm gonna
it'd be
call
great.
Stumner, you watch me.
Call him, let him
You
know.
don't ever say that you voted to take credit for something when he voted no. No, I'll fix that. But, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. All right, anybody else?
There's nobody else signed up, Mr. Mayor?
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Jeffries. And those subjects, neither one of them are going away. As we get information, we'll provide it, for sure. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. The minutes from the regular city council meeting, March 19th, 2024, and the city council working session, February 15th, 2024. Claims, payroll number 6, in the amount of $15,838.80. Payroll number 3, in the amount of $2,350. Accounts payable in the amount of $28,748.92. For a total of $46,937.72. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Oh, motion.
Thank you. We have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Mr. Jeffries, I
Yes.
have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Last page we have in our packets here, bottom of the page, General Leander, St. Louis County Auditor, 2024, parcel identification number, $325. Upon review of the checks going out, that charge was listed under general waste. Are you familiar with that? It's right in there if you wanna take a look.
I'll get back to you on that in a moment.
Okay. And then a quick question on the following one as well, the $8 there that we seem to be paying for a lot in Damien.
Yeah, well, that one I can address. There's, when the city holds a lot, there's no improvements on it. So there's no real tax burden except for the $4 per, it's estimated at $500 in value when there's no improvements on a lot. And it's in the city's name, so that $500 gets an $8 per 2024 property tax assessment.
Assessed to the city
Yeah.
for the lot the
To
city
to
owns.
the owner, yeah.
I thought the city was tax exempt is where I'm going with it.
Okay, well, not for holding property, but I can certainly double check on that.
Well, then the question comes, do we pay property tax on all the vacant lots the city holds?
No, not that I'm not aware we do.
Okay, this question, I don't mean to pick your brain.
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
I think, well,
That's-
I mean, I do have a thought, but I would be giving an opinion, so I'm not sure I should do that.
Just curious, maybe it's something, in all of our free time, we can take a look at.
Should we maybe separate those items since they're not due yet and bring them back after we've got an answer?
I don't know, it's $8.
Well, that's,
And it's hard to argue with the county. I was more concerned with the Lake Leander
Well, I'm
one.
looking at that now, Mr. Mayor, and not seeing,
when I asked Diana about it, she said it was the waste management fee on the very bottom of the breakdown of fees. Waste management.
yeah, okay, yeah, well, that's the only amount there is here, is a county waste assessment charge on the Lake Leander
Oh, the
property.
solid waste fee that everybody gets charged,
Well-
that fee for, cause it's up in Lake Leander, not in town.
I would,
Can't go under
it
utilities.
says, it's, on the property tax statement, it says
Yep.
waste assessment,
If you
so.
live like outside of a city, you can't, I
Yeah.
mean, on the city bills, we get paid, we get charged monthly or once a year. And like townships get charged on your tax statement. So that, I get it now, yeah. It's right.
Okay, so that's where you're billed for your
Yeah, for your. yes.
garbage, would be
Yeah.
on your tax statement.
It's a County solid waste fee to bring the garbage there.
Okay.
Everybody is charged,
That makes sense.
that's what it is.
Well, something for council to consider, the holding cost, one of the holding costs for that property. Which was assessed at very valuable, by the way.
Isn't everything?
Yeah, right now it is. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Jeffries. Just questions.
Of course.
We have a motion and a second. Council have anything else on the consent agenda? With nothing more, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Thank you. On to business. Item A. Consider request from Paul Bunyan Communications to install fiber optic network throughout the city. Paul Bunyan was here and put a little, I don't know, salesman pitch on for us. They'll be expanding fiber optic broadband network to more parts of rural Minnesota in 2024. A portion of this expansion in St. Louis County will include over 530 locations in the city of Buhl. Construction activities and installation of the infrastructure for these services is anticipated to be complete by November 15th, 2024. With service to individual locations, homes, and businesses anticipated by late 2024 and into early 2025. These construction activities are not anticipated to affect or disrupt streets or their conditions in the city. Construction activities will be conducted in the alleys or on the sides of the street right-of-ways utilizing horizontal directional boring technology. Anyone interested in getting connected to the all fiber optic broadband network should sign up for service now, and I'm not going to pitch their company for them. We have a motion to approve the request from Paul Bunyan Communications to install fiber optic broadband technology infrastructure throughout the city of Buhl, with a condition that there will be no disruption to any existing paved surfaces in the city unless approved in advance by the City Council of the City of Buhl, Minnesota.
Motion.
Thank you.
I'll support.
Thank you.
I guess I just have a question for Trent. I know we talked a little bit last meeting about whether the utilities are on the street side or the alley side. If they're aiming to do their install on the alley side, is that gonna cause any long-term issues or?
It all depends, I'm sure they'll sit down and have conversations, which we haven't about where they plan on doing anything, but as far as what their plans are totally, I don't know yet.
What about the location of that whatever they
The
needed.
building they wanna put in?
Right.
I don't know if that's, have we had any talks with them about it since then?
Tony and I have talked about a potential location. I don't know if you've had that conversations with them or not.
When Mr. Steve Howard was here from Paul Bunyan, he had taken the liberty to suggest 2 sites for their equipment shed, neither of which were great sites in the city's opinion. Subsequent to that, we did find a piece across Culver to the south from the water tower area. It's a portion of a piece of land held by BETA that even if it gets developed, which it is likely to do in the future, this little triangular piece of that property would probably not serve any great purpose. But it's big enough to fit their shack. So yes, that was after Trent and I talked, that was communicated to Steve Howard at Paul Bunyan. Have not heard anything back yet regarding that potential location.
So I spent some time on the phone with Steve today, and my understanding from what Steve told me is this isn't a choice of Buhl to, I see the motion is to recommend to approve the installation. We're not going to be approving anything, it's already, the government is the one that picked us, not Paul Bunyan technically, because they have like a checkerboard of blocks of places they wanted this, and Buhl had a few blocks in it, and this is why the government stepped in and picked our place. We can't tell Paul Bunyan no, per Steve on my conversation with him today. He said, you can hold off and you can stall things out and you can get lawyers involved to stop this, but you would never, it wouldn't work. They're gonna be bringing this in. It's a good thing anyway, I don't even know why we're.
Oh, it is a good thing.
But I think the wording on here would be to more acknowledge the fact that they're coming in, so we have it on paperwork. He said that this isn't a normal practice for a city to do this. He said some do, but it is just like an acknowledgement, just so you have it in writing in case you have an individual that is, like their wife, he said, works for the competitor and they don't want it in here. But you'll have it in writing that we acknowledge the fact that they're coming in, but we're not giving the okay for them to not come in or to come in. They are coming in.
Councilor Keeley, Mayor Carter, when they were here last time, he did in fact refer in a way to municipalities cannot stop that type of a company from coming in and doing their thing. Our conversation went further to say something like, well, if you're coming into our town and you want to dig in our soil, we just like to be able to have something to say about that. Then we started talking about, would it be in the street or the alley? Would it be plowing? Would it be horizontal boring? Would it be open trench boring? Because we're all very sensitive with all the new street pavement. We don't want it dug up and all that,
I
right?
did ask him the question today, and a majority of the fiber optics will be going in the alley areas. There's a few areas like Forest Street and Memorial Edition that might be going along the front of the road just because of how it is. And then there's a spot on Culver Avenue because they don't have an alley, I believe. Or
Either.
You do, yes, but some don't.
Yeah.
So there was a couple spots in town that would not be in the alley, but a majority of it would be in the alley. So this is my conversation as of 2:00 this afternoon.
Cool,
so.
right. But, and then, with regard to the motion language, changing accept to acknowledge, that's absolutely fine. Please keep in mind the clause suggested that there will be no disruption to existing pavement unless approved in advance by the city. Whether you find that important enough to somehow try to keep that in there.
You know, he did state that there will be some that they do have to go on the street, but it would be very limited, basically by our manholes. But he said it would be very limited with the street digging and boring, and everything would mostly be in the alley and very limited in the street. So that was a good thing to hear. Again, I don't like the wording of this because we're not here to approve it because it's already coming, whether we want it or not by the sounds of it. And I don't know, again, why would we not want it, but,
Right,
I just
so-
want, I would ask it to be reworded that we acknowledge that they're
Yeah.
coming in and not, we're not approving or disapproving.
Well, we can make that one word change to accommodate that.
I have a question, if I may, in regards to that. When you say the government,
Because it's a rural development grant that came from the government.
what
And they gave
government?
so much, they gave
State
so
of
much.
Minnesota.
State of Minnesota?
They gave,
Okay.
they gave quite a bit of money to the state of Minnesota, where Paul Bunyan did get some of it, Starling got some of it, I believe Cook County got some of it. If you look online, you can find out the big areas that got it, and Paul Bunyan then came in and, they have, like I said, they have their checkerboard, and we happen to have a couple boards in Buhl, and that's why it's moving in, and they're gonna be moving on to other towns, but we're lucky that we got it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It is I think it's something everybody in town can agree with.
And then
I ju-
I think,
Well, because
then I
it's
think
a
it went to
city
Paul Bunyan, and then Paul Bunyan then goes out and bids for the towns technically, so. But it isn't, again, his biggest thing is that we technically don't have a choice on this, so I don't know why we're spending so much time on this, but.
I can speak to that. I myself asked for that. I think if anybody's gonna come into our town, it's our community. It's our yards, we own them.
Not in this case, he went into a big explanation, and you should probably
And
call
that's,
Steve.
no, that's fine. And like,
He-
this is something we can all agree that is good. I just thought it would be, Paul Bunyan should approach council and say, hey,
It's
Do you-
there-
do you-
I
do you-
asked them that, because your words stayed in my head while I was on vacation even, and
have to leave.
it did.
Leave
'Cause
work
it
at
didn't-
work.
It just didn't sit right with me, if they're gonna come in to dig our dirt, they should get permission, and I thought, well, we want this in our town.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely we
basically,
do.
I asked him how he felt about that, and he said, just never had that answer or that thought given, because we're bringing in a good product.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
And it's
And
not,
it's
it's
free.
not a choice. So,
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, no, and
I-
everybody can agree it's a good thing, so
Yeah.
there's no,
But I would-
if this needs to be worded differently,
I would beg to ask, I would like you to change your verbiage on here. If not, then,
I can wait till after you're done, go ahead.
no. Mr. Towner made the motion, correct?
Yeah, I'm finally changing that to,
acknowledge.
acknowledge.
Accept to acknowledge.
Yep.
Will that satisfy what you're looking at?
It will,
Yeah,
because
that's fine.
listening, if you had the conversation I had with him, we are not here to approve or disapprove this. So we cannot have a motion like this.
Well, I like the idea of us working together with them, and I don't wanna make it seem like we're,
Oh, yeah, no, and,
to it.
right, no, and nobody
I know that's
is.
not what you mean, but.
No, and nobody is. I don't know, I just think if they're going to be bringing infrastructure into town, we should definitely be having the conversation on it prior to it happening. That's my thoughts. Alright, so we have a motion
Does he need to
to,
approve the support,
Yeah. I got support.
change of support or whatever?
the motion by Mr. Towner to, how are we wording that, Mr. Jeffries?
Acknowledge the
To
request.
acknowledge the request?
I suggest at the moment to replace the word approve by the word acknowledge. And then I ask about that specific condition about disrupting the pavement, whether that should be stricken or not.
Well, if we're
My
not,
opinion is that stands.
and it doesn't have any weight to it if we're.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
acknowledging the request.
If they don't, if they do disrupt something, what are you guys gonna be out there with your little police hats on? And I'm sorry, I'm being really.
No, you're exactly right. That's exactly why I'm,
Well, if they know prior to starting the project that we care for our streets, and if you're gonna disrupt them, please come to council
He's
first.
very well aware that we just put new roads in, cause I
Well,
basically.
and they're gonna be in and out so fast, they're gonna be doing it in such a volume to come through with the punch list. We'll just, I mean, they're finishing it in
They're
just a matter of
professionals.
weeks, isn't it?
it should take about 3 weeks, I
Yeah,
think.
3 weeks
They-
This town.
they're
To put fiber.
They
in the
are
entire town.
professionals, however, the entrance to my alley, the concrete skirt entrance into there, when the gas company came through, they saw cut 2 holes in that concrete. They're still not filled. So just something to keep in mind. Things get missed. I don't know.
Yeah, but that was just your street. This is a mass project, I would assume that.
Also was the gas company coming through town.
Yeah, that was a big one.
When was that?
During the street project.
2019.
I've had.
Alright,
So again, the question I remain is that clause about street disruption and needing approval before they do
I
that,
never shook my gas.
whether that should be stricken.
before they make changes to our streets.
Well, I think it goes back to what Trent says, you know, you haven't seen the plans, we're gonna see the plans, we're gonna see where they're gonna do this, so it's still gonna come to us first, I would imagine.
Typically, I feel like the projects, going back to Verizon had a project that came through town, and the gas company had they kind of just worked with me and like, we kind of figured everything out, so I'm assuming that's how they're gonna approach it too, I have no idea though.
But yeah, if we're just acknowledging the request, then putting the stipulation there, it's irrelevant.
So then I would suggest striking the remainder,
For acknowledging the request, that relieves our authority.
Right after throughout the city of Buhl.
yeah.
Let 'em know.
So I'll try again. To acknowledge the request of Paul Bunyan Communications to install fiber optic broadband technology infrastructure throughout the city of Buhl.
Period.
Period.
Support.
Support. Anything further, council? With nothing more, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item B, consider naming an individual to the recreation board. The city presently has 2 vacancies on its recreation board. Notice of these vacancies was previously posted, and the public was notified and requested that anyone interested in serving in this capacity should contact City Hall for potential consideration. This posting remains in effect until all vacancies are filled. Shannon Lee is a resident of Buhl and has expressed an interest in joining the recreation board. She is interested in a 2-year term, which is available. Little history, she has lived in Buhl for 13 years and loves being involved with this great town. She has helped the recreation board with numerous activities and events in town, including the 4th of July, the Halloween parade and party, the winter frolic, and the Christmas party. She would like to join the board and be involved more. Excellent. Do we have a motion to appoint Shannon Lee to serve on the City of Buhl Recreation Board with a term that expires December 31st, 2025?
I'll motion.
Thank you. We have a second.
I'll second.
Excellent, thank you.
Shannon would be excellent.
She
Work
really
with her.
has been a huge help.
Has she?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon.
We still have one more opening.
With Shannon, we get her husband.
Pretty much. I mean, both of them were helping anyways, but we might as well make it official.
Excellent. So we still have one vacancy left then.
That's a 1-year term that's still available, correct? Or I guess I don't know if you have that info offhand. I can't
I
remember if it was the 1 year.
think it's the 1 year, but don't hold me to it, Counselor Towner.
So, if I remember right, we had one 3-year and 2 1-years, so it should be a 1-year term that would end at the end of this year.
Excellent. So anybody watching the video interested? Please.
Not even a long commitment at this point.
No. And it's enjoyable. Rec board meetings are a lot less formal. It's a good time. It's members of the community. And it's for good causes. It's wonderful. Alright, so we have a motion and a second to appoint Shannon Lee to the rec board. Anything further? With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's carried.
Thank you, Shannon.
Yes, thank you, Shannon. Item C, consider notice of advertisement for 2024 summer beach attendance and authorization for staff to publicly post and publish. The city desires additional professional services over the summer months to assist in maintaining the recreational and public safety services of the community. Specifically, the city wants to hire summer beach attendants for the City of Buhl Public Beach at Stubler Pit. We have a motion to authorize staff to publicly post and publish a notice of advertisement for 2024 summer beach attendant positions.
A motion.
Thank you. I got a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? Anything to add, Mr. Jeffries?
Thank you, Mayor Carter. Just one for this and for the next item. You have samples in your packet. The wage is now set, or the wage on those samples is Minnesota minimum wage of $10.85 an hour. So if you desire a different wage rate, we'll have to know that before we publish and post.
Do you ever think of, like, to get some of these kids returning that we would offer, like, if first year at this rate, second year they get a little bit more because they have more experience, the third year we can go up a little bit higher?
Not a bad idea.
I mean, they're already
Incentive.
trained,
Yeah.
it's an incentive for them to come
Right.
back, they'll get a little bit more money than
Plus-
a new hire.
They need less training because they already did it the previous year, so.
Makes sense.
Mr. Jeffries, how hard would that be to incorporate into this? I suppose you need numbers from council?
Yes, that would be good. I am just thinking about certain things. For instance, for the public work crew, part of that, well, for the beach crew, CPR is part of that. For the public work crew, the next item, OSHA training is part of that. Will the folks who have worked before carry forward with their certifications, or will they need them again?
To be
I don't
renewed.
know.
Not CPR, training was 2 or 3 years.
I
Yes,
don't
CPR is
know
like
for
by year.
It
individuals.
is, I think it's 2 years, and OSHA, they do it every year,
Yeah, your coach
regardless.
is yearly.
So as long as there's some guidance in what kind of a stepwise scale you may wish to see, yeah, we'll need some numbers, but we can incorporate that.
I mean, we're not talking a lot of kids here, so, I
Yeah.
mean, and the chances of it happening are, I don't know, maybe slim to none, but at least it's an incentive to offer out there.
Just to get this rolling, can we approve it as rate of pay starts at 10.85, and then we can come back like next meeting or something?
Depending on years of service.
Or
But
Well, we
that,
can always add that in whenever. We
Right.
could do that in the middle of summer for that matter, really.
Yeah.
The
That,
other thing, I don't know how it works for OSHA, but I know MSHA's, your first year is 24-hour certification, and the second, and every
These kids could.
year after would be only 8-hour refresher.
Right.
So there would be cost savings there for what it's worth, if that's the same way, I don't know if OSHA works the same way as MSHA.
Well, we'd still send them to do the training.
It's still 24 hours, or is it only 8 hours?
No, it's just something, it's just good for
It's a
them,
safety
even
training,
if it's just a
basically.
refresher for them just to do every year, because
it's just,
they're only on for 3 months and then they're off for
Right.
9 months in those situations. So it's just a good refresher. It only takes a day. We usually team up with Chisholm
Okay,
for doing that.
right on.
Good experience, because they're gonna have to do this a lot in their lives, depending on where they go after this.
yeah.
so would the council prefer to revisit the posted flyer next meeting? And,
My opinion is we should put it out, and if council wants to make a change to it, then we can do that as,
Yeah, I mean, we can go all the way to the next year for that matter, because we'll have whoever's on staff this year, this will be their first year anyways.
Well, if they came back from last year, though, we might have to.
Oh, I see
Yeah,
what you're saying.
If they're 16 this year, they're 17 and they're coming back, they might get that upper,
I see what you're getting.
yeah.
Gotcha.
well, it'd be nice to get these out as soon as possible.
so we could, as has been suggested, just say rate of pay 10.85, starts
Start.
at 10.85 an hour, depending upon experience.
Experience.
So with that change to what is presented, right? For beach attendance,
No, that's at completion.
Yes,
correct?
right.
So, I mean, the kid.
Does that have to be noted in the motion?
It doesn't say that, it just says it's summer beach attendants, and this is just a flyer, so.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just approving the hiring, this is just a flyer. And then, when we do the hiring, then we have post what they're gonna make at that time.
Correct.
Right.
How many hours?
What?
How many hours a week? The 16-year-old is looking for, how many hours a week? Like part-time, 10 hours a week or
So
5?
typically a week for the Public Works Department is about 35 hours.
Yeah, but that's
And
not,
then
I'm
for
asking
the-
for this,
for
because
the-
this isn't lifeguard. If you had lifeguards, that's a different deal, but this isn't a lifeguard.
And for the beach, it's the amount of hours. It's really dependent on how many people apply and,
That's what I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
smooth it up.
and then weather can really get into that too.
How many,
Either way, it's not full-time, but yeah,
Right.
it's gonna vary a lot.
how many kids were there last year? Like 3, 4?
I remember
3
two.
for the beach and 3 for public.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to authorize staff to publicly post and publish a notice of advertisement for the beach attendant position with that change in the verbiage there. Anything further?
I guess this is a question for later, but just to mention it now, if we're changing the rate of pay based on experience, like say they worked in Chisholm last year and this year they're in Buhl.
Well, it would still be the first year in Buhl.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
but
I want
anyways,
city
that's,
specific,
Yeah.
we can talk about that later.
otherwise you're not gaining anything.
Well, that could,
Well, yeah,
I was thinking about that could be just depending upon city experience, can be added in there.
Right.
Okay.
well,
Anything further, council? All right, with nothing more, those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to item D, notice of advertisement for 2024 Public Works Department Summer Street Labor. Authorization for staff to publicly post and publish. The city desires additional labor services over the summer months to assist in maintaining the attractiveness of the community. Specifically, the city wants to hire summer street labor for the Public Works Department activities, including lawn mowing, weed whacking, and other light duties. Do we have a motion to authorize staff to publicly post and publish a notice of advertisement for 2024 Public Works Department summer street labor positions?
I'll motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Trent, can I ask you a question? Do they work all summer long, the kids, or they take a week and work and then they're off a week?
So it's all, years past, we've had a lot sometimes, and so then I try to give them like a week on, week off, just to get, so everyone's able to work, but like the last 3-4 years, we've only had 3, which is kind of perfect, because then we teach them, train them, and they're just able to get out, they know what to do, and so it just continues. So 3 is like the sweet spot. I like 3, but we can always take more. It's good. It's a good work experience for kids to kind of come up, and so it all depends on how many kids we get, really.
So is it possible that we could cross these 2 jobs if we had to? Like if you did have to give somebody a week off, and like Mel was saying, these kids want 35 hours, and if they had to take that second week off, could they possibly be the beach attendant for the next week? Or is that something you don't want to
Anything's
do?
possible, it's just it becomes
2 separate trainings.
trainings and then different.
But isn't that a good
beach
thing?
attendant I see is their CPR. Well, it's pretty, a 16-year-old, if somebody is drowning or something, they're gonna have to, number one, go out and get them. If somebody has a heart attack on the beach, they've gotta know how to give them CPR. Whereas mowing the lawn, they don't have to know how to give them CPR, so they're two different.
But there's nothing wrong with giving everybody CPR either, so I'm just,
No, that's a good idea too, I guess.
Yeah, I think everybody should have that.
Yeah.
It's a
It
good
wouldn't be the
it
first time an
depends on, I
accident
guess,
just
the
happened
kids,
in
and
a
might be an
long-
option with which numbers you're working with.
Every year is different, and we just kind of try to stay flexible with trying to make things work. So it all depends on what we get for applicants, really.
Because and again, I don't wanna bring Chisholm into the mix here, but we do have kids that do our rec department. They only work half days, but the other half days, we need them in the street department, and they do let them cross over. So it is possible to do, so.
Yeah. Now we got enough mowing that it takes almost a week to do, so it's it's, I don't know. It's, anything's possible, but I was just.
Just don't wanna have that kid have to take a week off because you have so many. You know,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
that
getting
one,
at.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't up until recently, I even took over as the beach kids, I never had to take care of them, so it's kind of a pain in the rear, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and that's where you know, I know down the road when, if we ever can work on a better budget for rec, is that you actually have a summertime, maybe adult, that they are in charge of. They help you out, they're
That's
under you,
kinda how it
but,
was up until like 2018, 2019.
right, so they would be in charge of the kids at the beach, you know, and making sure they're doing their work, and it would take the load off of you.
Yeah.
But they also could be in charge of your grounds working kids too, so, but they also would be working, but they would be paid a little bit higher, and they would be like a, not a supervisor, but yeah, technically. So I mean, it's just a
I'm all
thought.
for that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are, but I mean, down the road, it might be a thought. Cause that would take it off of you, and then the kids, you know, would have somebody constantly on them.
We just kind of take a look at the applicants that we got. There's even kids that they sign up and they think that's actually the case of what you're talking about. Or you know, this is for mowing, and then they quit on the spot, so that's happened before. Sometimes they just want the beach. A lot of times people that sign up for the beach, they want nothing to do with the mowing, so.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa, yeah.
Well, no, because you're responsible for someone's life.
So this-
on the beach, you're not.
This motion is just to publicly post.
Yeah, that's all it is.
We have a motion and a second? Anything further, council?
Oh, I don't know.
With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. On to item E. Recommendation to review and consider proposals for portable toilet services for 2024. City provides portable toilet services in the seasonal months at 4 locations throughout the city as follows. Campground, Burton Park, Beach, Masabi Trail at the boat landing. The approximate rental season is for 5 months from May to October. Staff has solicited for these services and received bids from 2 service providers. A memorandum from City Finance Manager Diana Thronson is attached for council to review. Costs for 2023 were approved at $1,839.50. Recommendation from staff is to approve the proposal of option A for the portable toilet service for 2023 in the amount of services for 2023. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's,
In the amount of,
yep,
shouldn't that say 2024?
yep.
Okay. Recommendation from staff is to approve option A for services for 2024 in the amount of $2,150. Do we have a motion to approve the proposal of option A for the portable toilet services for 2024 in the amount of $2,150?
A motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Is there a reason why we don't put a name on who these,
I was not given that reason.
So we have 2 options here. One for the amount of $2,150 and one for the amount of $2,520. Pretty cut and dry. It's a portable toilet. And this is for all the locations we previously had, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Council.
I'd be curious who the companies were, if we had a problem with one in the past, I wanted to make sure we weren't choosing them, but
exactly.
the only problem we've had wasn't with the company, I don't think, or at least that I recall,
Well, it's with the patrons.
yeah. So,
Unfortunately, hopefully we can get through a season without any of that. Okay, anything further, council? With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
I,
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everybody. Item F, League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust. Safety and Loss Control Workshop. Authorization for administrator to attend April 10th, 2024. League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust is hosting their 2024 Safety and Loss Control workshops throughout the state in March and April. This workshop focuses on providing practical information to help cities reduce costs and avoid losses, and will provide comprehensive information on risk management. It is important and valuable for the city to have in its leadership attend this session in order to go further gain understanding on managing municipal administrative risk. We have a motion to authorize the administrator, Mr. Jeffries, to attend a League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust Safety and Loss Control Workshop on the city's behalf
I'll make that motion.
on April 10th, 2024, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. Mr. Jeffries, anything to add?
No.
Are you excited?
This year, the tracks are partially on focusing on ADA and partially for focusing on asbestos and lead project safety. There's public safety tracks and admin tracks. The admin tracks are actually more toward wellness programs for this year. I'm looking forward to getting some more recent information on these topics. So if you want to call that excited, let's say I'm excited.
Well, the other part of it is networking too, at those sort of events. Contacts, you know, it's really good.
You're gonna have to talk a little bit more though, if you're gonna network.
Okay, I'll work on that.
That is in Virginia.
Yeah, I intend to go to the Virginia session.
Yeah, so close. Great. Excellent. Well, we have a motion and a second. Anything further? With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. And thank you, Mr. Jeffries.
Thank you.
Moving on to item G. I'm sorry everybody, long day today. League of Minnesota Cities Annual Conference, authorization for administrator to attend June 26th through 28th, 2024. The League of Minnesota Cities will be holding its 2024 annual conference on June 26th through 28th in Rochester. League of Minnesota Cities provides valuable services to the city, who is a member. The conference sessions will provide valuable information on city people, city infrastructure, city budgets, city solutions, and city planning. Cities with a population of less than 1,000 can enjoy an early bird pricing of $275 per attendee before May 3rd. Pricing will be $475 per attendee after that date. We have a motion to authorize the administrator to attend the League of Minnesota Cities 2024 annual conference on the city's behalf.
I'll motion.
Thank you. We have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion. Early bird rates. I like how that's front page stuff. Excellent. Mr. Jeffries, do you have anything to add to this?
I do not, thank you.
Okay. I have a question on it. If council would like to attend?
Yes, of course. Same registration applies, I believe. $275 before May, is it May 3rd?
Yeah.
And then after that, it will go up to $475.
Council, the option is there.
I went to it last year. It was really good. I can't make it to this one, but it was fantastic. I learned a lot.
The governor attended that, did he not?
No, he didn't. They said that he was going to come, but he did not.
He didn't make it. Okay. It's a good place for networking. Okay, anything further, council?
No.
Nothing more? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Again, Mr. Jeffries, thank you.
And thank you.
On to item H, consider request from Sheila Labarge to begin initiatives to form a new committee to plan the Buhl
Quasquicentennial.
Isn't there another word we can use there?
125th
It's the 125th anniversary. That's a tough one.
See, put
Mayor
that on a
Carter?
t-shirt.
We will.
If I may, before you start.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Labarge intended to be here this evening. She got tied up with some other matters. But she would like this to be introduced and would like to come next meeting to further share some thoughts.
Excellent.
With that, she had recently provided a memo here, which I will hand out, which is not necessarily, you don't have to really do anything with it. It's some of the planning things, but she was okay if I sort of introduced this on her behalf if you want when you get there.
Excellent. The city of Buhl was originally incorporated as the village of Buhl in St. Louis County, Minnesota on February 25th, 1901. In 2026, Buhl will be 125 years old. Buhl resident Sheila Labarge has requested that the city consider establishing a committee to plan a 125th anniversary celebration. Ms. Labarge is not in attendance tonight, as Mr. Jeffrey said. Supporting a 125th anniversary celebration would be a good civic relations initiative for the city and its residents. Do we have a motion to support a 125th anniversary celebration for the city of Buhl for 2026 and to authorize the formation of an event committee to oversee the planning for this event?
Oh, motion.
Thank you. We have a second.
I'll second.
Excellent. Great idea, Sheila. Mr. Jeffries, with that, do you have more
Yes.
information?
Yes, please, some things for the council to consider, please. Excellent, phenomenal idea, absolutely should run with it. The comments I have tonight have to do with the role of the committee versus the role of the city, all right? Like the council to consider the committee to be a grassroots, a civic type committee, not under the direct authority of the city. There's really no upside to that from what I can tell at the moment. And and this would allow the committee to have more free reign, let's say, at exploring what they think might be a good event and the activities, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that being said, there are a couple of mechanical things which will come into play and might be important. One of them will be funding, money. If the committee goes and starts and does fundraising efforts, then those monies which are collected, in order for the city to hold them, they would be donations to the city for specific cause ABC, right? Every one of those donations will require a resolution of the council action. So, the thought I'd like you to consider here is to have another organization serve as the fiscal agent or fiscal sponsor of this initiative. A couple of things come to mind. One of them would be the Buhl Honor Guard. They could somehow work in that capacity. And another that I would like to offer up, and I had these conversations this afternoon, is the Iron Range Tourism Bureau. This would be an event that would be trying to not only commemorate Buhl's 125, but also bring folks to the events, whatever they may be they a parade, a street dance, fireworks, whatever they may be. The Tourism Bureau is a nonprofit which does act as a fiscal agent or a fiscal sponsor for other things. So this is kind of down the path of something they regularly do. And initial conversations are agreeable, acceptable, that they would consider this to be something that they would act or be willing to act as fiscal agent, fiscal sponsor. That might streamline getting, getting money to the city if it's gotta come that way, but also if the Bureau were to act like this, the Bureau, if they had a letter of understanding in place with the committee, could pay those bills on the committee's behalf out of the the funds raised by the committee. So that would keep all of that out of the city and their business and their influence. So I'd like to have you consider that. That might be more flexible for the folks who are excited about making this event happen.
Would you let them
Thank you.
make that decision?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely. Yeah, right
Let Sheila
now,
make the decision.
Yeah, the
Well-
committee themselves make that who they would like to work with?
sure, right now, I believe, Counselor Keeley, that they don't really know what the interaction would be if it were a city committee or a city-sponsored activity or an event or initiative. However, I think one of the things that really came to my mind immediately was every donation that comes from them to a city, you're gonna have to do a separate action on that every time.
How is the all class structured?
We had our own checking account and we ran it out of
And
our
that organization was separate from
everything.
everything.
That's
That's
another
That's the
option.
first thing that came to my
I
mind
did,
too.
I didn't throw that one out on the table right now because I don't know the committee, I don't know their wherewithal, their interest in creating their own checking account, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
Yeah.
so.
That
Well,
was-
so-
yeah, that was a checking account that had been open, a previous one, so it just stayed open all those years and it's closed now, but
Well, when the all class was created, is this how it came about?
no, well, we came and asked to have one, but that's basically all we did and we kind of let the city pretty much out of it. We did, we let the
And that's the way this is supposed to operate.
That's, I
So,
recommend that.
You
my-
do come for the approvals for like the fireworks and the parade and stuff like that, but you don't, we let the city out of almost everything. Yeah,
Only for where you had to use it.
yep.
So that's where my question, is a motion,
This
To
is
support.
informational only, so.
no, there's a motion
No.
here.
Motion.
Yeah, I believe the suggested motion is just to go on record as supporting.
To support, okay,
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
Support it, okay.
So,
to support
Did
the
you guys have
celebration.
100? I've been here 50 years and I don't remember 100, but did you guys have a? Did you have a?
We had 100 for the library, but
No, I mean, did you have a?
Well, it depends on when we had one of those owl classes, we might have had, we might have
Because I
called it an
remember
owl
something
class.
about 50, but that was 2 or 3 all classes ago.
But 25 years ago, I would have been, like 15.
75 years ago.
Kidding.
Well, and I was here, and I know I helped with your all class
Yeah.
20,
They might have combined
but did you
it.
have a 50 maybe?
No,
Did we, I was
For the
10, I don't know.
for the
Well, did the
city.
city have a?
I
They
think
might
they
have
did.
combined it as an all
Yeah,
class.
they combined
They
it.
combined
I
it,
think
yeah.
they would have combined
If
it.
Carol was here tonight, she would answer that, and they probably did.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
I
I would
don't
say they
remember.
combined
I
it.
I think they combined it with the 4th of July celebration.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Jeffries?
Ms. Tafroni, in Sheila Labarge's little memo, she makes reference to 2001, that there was some kind of an event.
Yes,
And
That was
she,
an all class. That
and then
was
she
an-
recalls having some kind of a pamphlet.
Yeah,
That's,
that was an all class though.
In 2000.
I worked at that one. No,
Yeah,
that was
I
an
know
all
that
class,
was
and
all
I never
class.
graduated from here.
That's a great idea. And I think from what I understand of it, it should be
Yeah,
structured the
that's
same as the all class.
Mm-hmm.
And the city, I think everybody would be in agreement on supporting that 100% all the way.
Yeah.
And I believe that the only money that we transferred over to you was for the fireworks, because you had to pay for the fireworks.
correct. I believe there was a reimbursement for that same amount.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was only one resolution, and that was it for that, so.
Excellent. Well, we have a motion to support the 125th anniversary celebration. and, formation of a committee. Anything further?
No, I think it's a great idea.
It is, it's gonna be one heck of a celebration. Fun. Alright, we have a motion and a second. Anything further? With nothing more, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Sheila. Look forward to speaking more on this in the near future. Item I. Yeah, this is a great one. A reminder of St. Louis County Local Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting of April 23rd, 2024. This is where you go to contest your taxes on your property with the county. St. Louis County Assessor has now issued 2025 valuation and classification notices to all property owners. This establishes taxable market values for property tax assessments payable in 2025. Property owners are allowed to appeal or question their classification and or valuation for a prescribed period of time, but not thereafter.
Yeah, but you also pay higher.
But not after the County Local Board of Appeal and Equalization meeting. This is just a reminder that St. Louis County has scheduled Buhl's LBAE meeting for Tuesday, April 23rd, beginning at 10 a.m. at the Buhl Kinney Senior Center. The City Local Board of Appeal and Equalization will hold an open book session jointly with representatives of St. Louis County Assessor's Office on April 23rd, 2024, beginning at 10 a.m. at the Buhl Senior Center, located at 302 France Street. Property owners may discuss or appeal their value and or classification at this open book session. The board will vote on any changes recommended to valuations and or classifications. The sales book for 2024, compiled by St. Louis County Assessor, will be distributed when it becomes available. So, April 23rd, 10 a.m. at our senior center. That's where the county will be to discuss our property valuations and taxes. Yeah, we do that every year, and it's always the same answer.
So last year we talked at the meeting about when the sales book becomes available, trying to get that.
Out to the public sooner?
Or-
Is that what
Post
that,
it somewhere, or,
is that what that sales book is, first of all?
Yeah, the sales history for the year.
Yeah, and all of the information on how they divided town up, what portion of town went up, what percentage, that's what that's actually technically called, is the sales book? Okay. That should be of it. Have you heard anything on that? at
No,
all?
I got a tickle to see what's up tomorrow on that.
Okay. So this meeting, we push them again and say, hey, you need to make that available sooner. Sooner the better.
Right. And I think, they had to wait, the assessor that attended there, they had to wait for certain information to come in, so.
Yeah.
They're kind of putting a bind. I guess another important part is, I know it's during the week and during business hours, but you can contact the assessor early or in writing so that it can be brought up at the meeting, or maybe even settled prior to.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's hard to make it to those meetings in person the way they fall.
Yes, conveniently during business hours on a weekday. That's hard for a lot of us. On your property tax statement, or whatever that form is called that they send out to you, all of that information should be on there also. So that's available. And also, if anybody has questions, City Hall is a great resource for information. I know there is a little bit of information out there on a couple of programs, Mr. Jeffries, the ones we had spoke about. There's state programs, I believe, to offer relief for property taxes if you meet certain criteria. And from what I understand, I read through the criteria. I don't know all of it off the top of my head, but it sounds like everybody in Buhl should be able to apply for.
I know something about that. The county did a blanket of everybody's property taxes went up for payable in '24. And what they did was, they didn't go to individual homes. everybody, and I don't know what the percentage was, the girl couldn't answer my question. But like, if you got a house over here that was worth, the old rate, 50,000, and this house was worth 100, and this house was worth 300, okay? Everybody, I'm making this number up because I don't know what they did. It was called a blanket raise, and everybody's went up, say 5%, 10%, 12, whatever the county did. Now I'm hearing that this go around, they will actually send a person out to your home to, but they can do a blanket right in the office. All they do is hit the button and everybody's house value went up, and that's how they do it. Plus, if you had a home, like I did, right down the street that sold, everybody within that area, your house value is gonna go up and up and up.
Oh, yeah.
Because that person sold and made money.
Yep.
So now every house in the neighborhood is gonna go up, but that's in addition to the blanket. They did a blanket raise on everybody's home. And if you had a person down the block that sold their home and they made a lot of money on it, well, they left and you're gonna pay more for your home because they made money.
We're gonna find out every detail of it at this meeting.
Well,
I assure
and
you
but
that.
that's been for many, many years.
Yeah,
I guess I don't know about the blanket raise thing, but the way she described it, the second part you mentioned about them, it did sound like they still go out.
They
And
do, but
they
they
probably-
didn't last
whether
year.
they-
They did Buhl as a blanket. So, and they do that
But, and
occasionally.
the houses that sell, if it sells for triple the amount or something.
Well, then your house
some of
next
them-
door is gonna go up big time.
Yeah,
like
they
mine
had our
did.
city split into like little districts.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
true.
But I think there were some that get excluded, like if it had major renovation. Like if it was a $30,000 house and somebody fixed the entire thing up and then sold for triple the amount. I think they excluded those because
There
they
was
sold for
certain
more because of the
exclusions.
renovation, not just because of the
Well, that
market's
could
gone
be,
up.
that
Yeah.
could be.
So-
I didn't get into that, I just asked if they
But
did.
in general, yeah, that's how
I
it
just asked
how it
if they did a
works.
blanket.
Right.
So somebody that was living in a $30,000 or $50,000 home, you know, a small home, their value went up by 8%, which the more your house is worth at the time, of course, your value is gonna go up higher and higher. So some of these $50,000 homes probably went up 10, 20,000, I don't know. Yeah, I only know about mine, but mine went up substantially, but I'm not complaining about it. I don't-
well, like I said, we're gonna get every piece of information we can out of that meeting, just like last year.
Well, that's what the girl told me, that they did a blanket on Buhl. So every division had, and they do that periodically. I remember when my husband was alive, because he was an engineer, they used to do it all the time in Buhl.
Oh.
And they just hit a blanket, so everybody's house goes up no matter what you do.
We'll ask them about the blanket then.
Well, that's the words I was told, a blanket
All right.
raise on the whole town.
Noted.
So they didn't send an assessor out to everybody's house,
Well,
they
they
just.
don't do it every year. I
No,
think they say it's like
no.
once every 5
5
years.
years.
they make
Right,
it
that's
to-
true, but they
yeah.
did a raise, and I think it was all St. Louis County. It wasn't just
Sure.
Buhl, it was all St. Louis County had a.
I'm sure. Well, we'll get a lot of information out of that.
Yeah, they did that.
Probably a lot nobody wants to hear, but that's the way it goes.
Well, okay.
But we will find every piece of information we can in that
Well, I
meeting.
was told it was the whole county of Buhl, so.
Alright, moving on, other business. Mr. Jeffries?
We have no other items.
Excellent, thank you, sir. Councilors' comments?
I'll just say it, we finished up our curling season and we made it through another year with our plant. Chisholm is putting in a whole brand new plant and they offered us their compressor. However, it's too big for our building. And so we are working once again with commercial refrigeration and he's out, he might have another one for us. So we have to find a compressor for our curling club. We did make it though. It would have been nice had Chisholm's worked, because they were giving it to us for nothing, but it's just too big of a compressor for our small club. So, but again, season's over, a positive year again, and we hope that will start up again next year. We're gonna be working on it this summer though, so. Other than that, nothing. See you on the 23rd. I did see something though, there was a time frame on that. It said 10 to 11 when I saw all the, I saw 10 to 11.
That's what it says. I would be very surprised if it sticks to an hour, so I said starting at 10.
Yeah, I didn't see the 11 on there, but I did see it on their schedule.
But it
For the
does have
county?
to-
Yep.
but it
Last
does
year we-
have to
we-
last until everything
Yes.
that's been presented has been addressed, right?
Yeah, that was a two-part.
It was
Last
a
year.
long one last year, but I know a lot of people that were there last year, they said they walked out with their head between their legs and, you know.
And nothing you could do.
Nothing changed, so well, they won't be back, so.
Well, we're gonna get every piece of information we can there. It's about all you can do. Well, thank you. Anything else?
Well, I'm just not gonna complain.
I just have that gardening activity that was set for April 7th is going to be April 14th now. And the person that's coming is actually there's gonna be like some food there that she's providing from her garden, so it'll be a fun event. And I'll be at the Buhl Senior Center, or no, sorry, the Buhl Curling Club Community Center.
Excellent. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you. Gentlemen?
No, I'm good.
So the rec board, we were talking about doing a spring cleanup like we did last year. Clearly, I think Public Works is gonna beat us to it, but we're still gonna go out to the recreational areas, the park, the disc golf course, the beach, and the campground on May 5th at 1 PM. I think it's a Sunday, if I remember right.
May 5th?
Yep, May 5th at 1 PM. So we'll meet at the park and then break up into groups. We'll provide gloves and garbage bags that somebody donated, so we'll just spread out, collect them, and since it's on a Sunday, is there a particular place you'd want those left rather than the side of the road like we did last year?
We'll just leave it on the side, we can pick them up.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you. And the other thing is, I was at the library board meeting last week, and I heard they have a new website. It's buhllibrarymn.wordpress.com. There's a link on the City of Buhl website to get to it. It looks phenomenal, and it went up in like no time.
Really?
Alan over there, I think, was instrumental in getting that put together. It's got announcements on there, it's got the library's hours, it's got the room
nice.
rental rates, book recommendations, it's complete already, and it's just like that.
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Congrats over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Is the library newsletter gonna be posted to that now?
It's a really good idea, I don't know for sure, but I can
It's
add
a
it.
really good idea, since they weren't gonna be able to afford it,
Yeah.
Right,
really.
yeah, it's a good idea, I can ask about that. I forgot to today.
I don't like the idea of things going to all digital at all, but I mean, when it comes to saving costs, it's huge.
I don't know if they've started doing it yet, but I think they were talking about maybe just doing a printed one that you can collect there at the library.
Yeah.
Or possibly at the senior center or something. I don't know whatever came of that, if they've started doing that, but sending it out through the mail was very expensive.
Awesome. New website. Good. Thank you. Mr. Hadrava,
I got nothing, Mayor.
nothing? Okay. That leaves me for mayor's comments. Unprepared, I really don't have anything. The snow is melting. The ice is probably thinning, right?
I would go to lakes.
The weather's beautiful. I acquired somewhat of a tan to my face working outdoors a week
From the
ago.
bonfire. Yeah.
Get outside. I always promote that. Get outside, enjoy it. I see that some of the birds are coming back. I've seen some geese sitting on open water recently. Summer's coming, so get out there and enjoy it. It's amazing.
One more probably reminder not to cut in, we have elections coming up this year, and when can everyone sign up to be,
Filing period?
yes.
May,
May what?
I don't know the date.
I don't either, I should know it.
We'll
That's a
have
good
it
point.
we'll have it
For
next
the next
meeting.
meeting,
That is a very good point.
we have 2 council seats and a mayor seat that will be open, so.
Yes, everybody should file. Everybody should get involved. Everybody's opinion matters. All of us as a community as a whole. And getting involved in it is your duty as a citizen. That's how I feel. And we should all take a turn at it.
Yes.
Excellent. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
Excellent. Thank you. Motion and support. Anything further? With nothing more, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned, 7:55. Thank you.